And we are back at the host/analyst desk. Oh my gosh, what an exciting match. I really wanted Brawling Vagabonds to win, but I was disappointed. My heart is broken.
Well, Dark Soul and I remain supreme. We both picked something else for that match. I knew as soon as they landed on field with Vagabonds that they were going to lose, since Vagabonds are so broken weak right now.
Do you want to start with me, really, Brent? Should we talk about Vagabonds?
No, please, I'll lose. I don't want to.
We can talk about them if you want to.
If you want to, we can talk about it.
It was an expansion ago, though.
Let's get into it. Let's get into it.
Oh my god. Okay, Vagabonds are really good, and Otter should have won, but they must have made some piloting mistakes or something.
Of course, it's their fault.
I can only assume. There's nothing wrong with the ship.
Maybe the execution, but we were having a discussion about Alex thinks that a shield boost bonus on a Vaga is useless in a skirmish situation, but I disagree, because I think that with damage projection being so prevalent nowadays, that being able to kite and have sustainability on grid is actually pretty strong.
Oh
I
my
don't
gosh.
think it's useless. I think
Listen to this guy. Go ahead.
It's strengthening a fit of the Vagabond that I didn't really like in the first place. The close range after bomber Vagabond.
You sound like Conan right now from the WoW tournament yesterday, where he's just doing commentary when he doesn't know what he's talking about.
I fly Vagabonds, all right.
The after bomber part, it was pretty. It was comedy.
You don't dual prop your ASB Vagabond?
I have flown that fit, but I think if you wanted to take it to more of a standard fit, that this gives you more options and more stayability on grid.
Yes.
Really though? Because
it
does.
It's like actually just
one
makes
reload.
The normal fit better, because a single reload of an ASP, I don't remember the numbers exactly now, but it either gives the same or more HP as an extender. So as long as you're taking little enough damage that you can boost through a fight with a large ASP, not an extra large, but just a normal large ASP, as long as you can get all the boosts out of it during a fight without wasting any of them, you'll generate more HP than the extender would have. So then it's just a better version of the same fit. And then you actually can reload and use it again, which means it's generating way more HP over the course of a fight.
Assuming you don't get volleyed.
Well,
yeah, but
assuming
you're not getting volleyed in a
assuming you
skirmish
live long enough to
Vaga. Like
reload.
it's not a fleet doctrine. Like you're in a small enough fight where it's not like usually an extender is going to keep you from getting volleyed. I mean, if you jump a gate with like RD NATOs or something like that and get volleyed, then yes, it's not as good.
Well,
but I think in any reasonable like Vaga skirmish small gang situation, it's just simply better, as long as you can manage it, which is hard sometimes. But
well, I think the biggest mistake that people make is they don't overheat every cycle, because it does, unless it's been changed, it does increase the amount as well as the speed. So you end up getting a lot, and they take very little damage when you overheat them. So you can pretty reliably overheat for a full cycle and not burn anything out.
Yep. You know, I think in that match that what it came down to, though, and this is something actually Thekla is talking about in the stream chat, and I agree with him, is the warping at 0. I mean, we've always talked about it in the Alliance tournament and SCL. Warping at 0 is generally a mistake. You warp it at 20 and something with mobility, you can close distance. And you want to talk about ships with mobility, we're looking at Sleipnirs and Vagabonds. These are some of the fastest ships in their class. Why do you warp those in at 0 and not 20 and just burn to your targets? You know, give yourself a wiggle room so you're not wind up point blank on a blaster boat or something where you don't want to be.
Well, I feel like the only case where that would have been beneficial for them to warp in at 0 is if they came up against sentry drones. But again, that extra 20 kilometers that you have to burn, it doesn't really change that much, and you're throwing away all of your flexibility.
It's a lesson that Nora's had to learn the hard way a couple of Alliance tournaments back. Like, we just would warp in at 0, we're like, oh, we're all in close range ships, let's just go in there. And it really does. It gimps you in ways you don't even predict. Like, you have 0 reaction time to whatever the enemy is bringing. You pretty much have to charge forward, and if you try to charge forward and the enemy team doesn't want you to, you're almost certainly going to get tackled and pinned down, and the other team can pull range. So even if you're against a long range team, being that much closer to them isn't actually as great as you would think it would be, because they can just keep you there essentially. Whereas if you're at range, you can perhaps kill off some of the tackle and then go in.
Yeah, but that's the thing. I think if you or it's your advantage to be on top of the enemy team. The enemy team's prepared for that with some sort of frigate screen, some sort of tackle screen to keep you off. And if you land point blank, you land right in that net. If you start at 20, you might have a chance of burning around them, or at least kiting their frigate screen enough that you're close enough to their long range targets to do the damage. And if they want you close, well, you're close. You don't have that choice of running away, really, like you say. So I don't know. I think all the top teams in the AT, we saw almost every one of them that I could think of in the last handful of matches. The last day, we're warping in at least 20. I think we saw 1 or 2 instances of Hydra or PL or something warping to 0, and it was a very particular strategy for a very specific fit. But generally speaking, warping at 0 just it doesn't give you the flexibility, like you're saying.
Well, let's talk to Logibro real quick.
Okay.
I have a question for CCP Logibro. How is the CPM working out? I presume you work with them somewhat. Since
I
they're involved
do
in
work
dust
with the
development.
CPM a lot. There's been some speed bumps along the way, but we're getting there. Like, it's taking a while. Like the CSM, it took years and years before that was really solidified as a part of the development process with CCP. And we don't expect it to happen overnight with CPM, but we're making progress.
There was a big dust up with an open letter about, dust development process, and the CPM since then, as far as I'm aware, was brought in a little bit more intimately into the design process. Have you seen some positive effects of that? And could you possibly go
Yes,
into
I have.
them?
I can't go into specifics at the moment, though.
All right. Well, talk in general strokes for the audience.
Well, basically, with the new EP that we recently got for Dust 514, we've actually had him being in a lot of high-level talks with the CPM, and we're having more that are coming soon. And we've got the CPM having more talks with various high-level people within development. And so that will be showing, that will probably start, the fruits of that label probably start showing up over the next few months, because there's a little bit of development lag, because we've got, what happens is, something's finished, and then it gets released a month later, because it's got to go through a whole lot of testing with Sony.
Now,
I got a question for Logi, bro.
Go ahead.
Let's
Go
say I'm
for
a PvPer and I want to get into the Dust, Eve side of Dust, right? How do I go to a planet and nuke some noobs on the ground?
Well, unfortunately for you, you can't just indiscriminately nuke people on the ground. What you have to do is, if you want to be in
Boo.
faction... What? Well, yeah.
There's
What you
nothing
have-
gamers like more than being killed by an anonymous person from space with absolutely
with
no
no
reason.
counterplay.
Yeah,
Well-
Screw Anonymous. I want them to know who.
that's
Well,
exactly
actually-
the kind of feature
well,
E
actually, you
players
can
want,
see-
just to grief people in other games at random with no
Well,
actually-
recourse at all.
When you connect to a district, you actually show up. If people look up in the sky, they'll see a bracket and then your name. So they will know who it is that is delivering death from above.
That's pretty cool.
They should get some Eve players to come at me.
No, the thing is that what you've got to do is, if you want to provide all bombardments in Dust, you've either got to be, if you want to do it in faction warfare, you have to be part of the militia. Or if you want to do it for a corporation in a planetary conquest battle, you have to be part of that corporation's alliance.
I think Hydra will start a new campaign. To
Okay,
dominate the
guys.
planets.
Interesting talks about dust, but let's talk about the ships that are just about to be blowing up before our very eyes. We've got Triverge, and we've got the Ronin. And the bans are in. Tri is banning the Guardian and the Ishkar, Ronin is banning the Dami and the Ishtar. So again, we're seeing more target at the drone meta.
Yeah, it seems like pretty solid bans. Was it Triverge that banned the Guardian?
I believe it was, yeah.
Yeah, so they're not wanting to come up against armor setups, which is seeing their setup. I can kind of see why they would want to do that. I think it should be a pretty interesting match. The setups are semi-similar. I'm going to give this to Triverge, though, just because I think they're the better team, all things equal.
I'm going to have to agree with you on that one, although I do think it'll be quite close.
Yeah, this is going to come down, I think, to piloting more than anything, because, like you said, this is almost a mirror match here. Pretty close, not quite. But I'm going to also go with Drive because, frankly, Brent's been right every time, and I've been wrong. So
Wrecked noob.
Troy all the way for me, Bane.
Logi, bro?
I don't know. That's a good question. Come back to me. I'll think about it more.
All right, Russ.
I will go with try as well because I like the idea of the Hydra versus Dust campaign, and I'll support the person who thought of it.
Fantastic. Logi, bro, did you come up with an answer yet?
Well, I think, yeah, I have to go with try as well. Because, I mean, more people in Dust always makes me happy. More people doing things with Dust. Like, I would be completely over the moon if every single faction warfare match all of a sudden had people bringing orbital bombardments down. It would just make me the happiest person ever.
All right, and with that, we are going to ship it off to the commentators for this next match, Triverge versus the Ronin.